Okay, so the next thing I want to do is I want to machine everything on the inside of my part. So we've went ahead and machined everything in the pockets. Let's go ahead and just get everything done on the inside and make it look nice and clean. This way we only have the outside to worry about in the next video, okay? So just like we've done in our previous operation, we've created a stock model from our previous operation as our current stock model from now on. So let's go ahead and do that for this one as well. So come over here under toolpath, stock model, and let's call this after pockets or stock post pockets. Okay, make sure everything is the same as before. Now go to source and you want to make sure you select both of them, both your operations, by holding shift and selecting the second one. Make sure there's a green arrow next to it. And the reason for that, if you only select the last one, it will only show you the stock with the pockets machined. That's it. You want to make sure you select both of them, okay? So every time you create one of the stocks, okay, every time you create a stock model, you need to make sure you check everything you've created before, okay? Select apply and okay. And give it a little time for it to generate the stock for you. Okay, so there's my stock. Now, if you want to get rid of your toolpath, again, all you have to do is select your machining operation, Control and T, and that will make it invisible. Now, go back to that stock model, hit Alt and T to go back to your regular model over here so you can select some geometries. So let's go ahead and select the next operation, which is going to be toolpath, surface high speed, and spiral. But we're not going to do it this way. We're actually, what I want to do is I'm going to copy my first operation over here. So go ahead and select your first operation. I'm going to right click on it and drag it all the way down right here. Now it'll ask you when you let go if you want to move it before, after, copy it before and after. Now that's before this arrow. If you click on before, for example, all right, it will actually place it before your last operation. If you click on after, it will place it after your last operation. So if you have done that by mistake, it's okay. Just go ahead and right click on it again and drag it down here, let go. And this time you can say move after, and it will move it after your last stock that you've created. Now go ahead and select parameters. We need to change a whole bunch of stuff over here. Under parameters, first under toolpath, make sure you change it to finishing and select spiral. Now spiral is a very nice operation. It actually allows you to machine in spiral, so very easy to understand what it's doing, and it's usually used for cylindrical parts or circular parts, circular pockets, anything like that. That's where spiral would be used, okay? And then under containment boundaries, go ahead and select that. And you want to make sure to actually add all of the rectangular geometries. This way MasterCam can actually skip the triangular shapes and only focus on the inside right here to the outside, skipping that, okay? Now, chain number one is our outer chain. We need to still have that selected, but go ahead and right click and add chain, and go ahead and select all of the top geometry for the triangles, okay? After you're done, go ahead and select OK, and select OK again to go back to your toolpath parameters. Now for the tool, we're going to use a 1/4 inch ball and mill. So go ahead and select tool library, 1/4 inch ball and mill, and select OK. Under the comments, go ahead and change that to surface high speed spiral. Okay. And then under holder, you can keep that the same. Cut parameters. Cut parameters, we want to make sure one way is selected. Tip for the compensation as always. For the passes step over, now this is what's gonna allow you to see a very smooth finish or very rough finish. You want to make this as smooth as possible. I'm gonna change it to 0.015, and that will right away automatically change the scallop height to 0.000225 because there's a ratio between the step over and the scallop height. Now for the keep tool down within a percent of the tool, definitely not 7%. You want to make sure it's about maybe 800 to 1000. Let's go ahead and change it to 800. For outer radius over here. Now this is what's going to define how far your tool is machining. So from here up to where there's a radius. Remember, our part is 2.5 in radius. So if I want to machine from here all the way up to the edge, I would check 2.5. Now what is that's where I would place in here. Now, my issue with that is that that's going to actually extend into here, and it's going to machine some of the stuff that we left over on the outside to machine at the end. So we don't want it to actually go all the way to 2.5. Let's go ahead and make it up to 2, which is going to basically allow it to come from the center all the way up to around here, which will allow it to avoid these edges over here. Okay, so go ahead and change this to 2, and I'm going to change it later on to something a little bit bigger so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, and make sure you click on spiral clockwise, otherwise it will go counterclockwise. For the walls, let's go ahead and leave 0 for both walls and nothing to check over here. Okay, tool containment, you want to make sure outside is selected, and the offset distance, let's go ahead and make it 0.05, so it will offset 50 thou past your geometry that you've selected it to machine to. And then you want to make sure to add offset to distance is unselected, otherwise it will add it to the tool to radius, and it will become 0.175. Okay, transition, just make sure it is smooth. And steep shallow, you want to make sure Z depth is selected, and I usually like to select detect limits for it to detect its own. Okay, and linking parameters, go ahead and change the clearance to 1.0, and minimum vertical, make sure you have that checked with an output feed as 500 to 600, and that should be it. So go ahead and select apply and OK, and let's go ahead, and the next thing we want to do is backplot, and make sure for the stock model to select the stock post pockets. Okay, and select OK. And let's go ahead and verify just our last operation. So go ahead and select it, allow it to regenerate dirty operation, and open it up in MASTERCAM simulation. Okay, and when it opens up, it should be the stock with the roughing and the area of the pockets machined as well. So make sure that that's what you see showed up over here, and go ahead and press play. And you'll see the tools coming in, machining in a spiral manner, and machining your part for you. And it should machine 2-inch in radius from your part as we've selected. Okay, there you go, looks really good. Now I'll show you the same thing, but increasing the radius. What will my tool do when I increase the radius? So go back to my part, click on parameters. Okay, click on cut parameters over here. I'm going to change my radius to, let's go ahead and just change it to 3.0. Select apply, and I'm going to regenerate dirty operation in my verify simulation, and let me go ahead and just forward that all the way for you so you can see what is the end result of that when you increase the radius. And again, also if you make the radius smaller, it's going to machine only up to the radius from that center of the part up to there. But if you actually select 3 inches, this is where my issue was. The tool will start diving in on the outside of the edge, because remember, we left some stock to be finished on the outside over here that we need to come back and finish later. So we don't want the tool to come in and dig down, especially because the tool is not meant for that. This is a short tooling machining surface on the tool that I'm not going to be able to be digging down like this deep onto my part. That's actually going to be jamming on the top side of my part, and that's very bad for the machine itself and the tool as well. Okay, so this concludes this video. In the next video, we will go ahead and finish the rest of my part. But remember, go back and make sure to change the radius to 2.0.